This is Comic Timing, episode 213, and Comic Geek Speak, episode 1914, Toy Fair 2023. Changing up the intro at least a little bit since it's slightly different, as I'm co-branding this episode and releasing it on both feeds like I usually do, but it makes sense to co-brand it because it makes sense for both shows. I'm Ian Levestein, and welcome to Comic Timing and Comic Geek Speak, this particular episode, joined by Kris Naudus. Hey, Kris.
Hello, good evening or afternoon or morning, or maybe you're in space listening to this while you orbit the Earth.
This is a podcast, so they could be listening to it at any time, anywhere. What a concept. What a concept. Okay,
so for all of those people in the world of tomorrow, do you have jetpacks? Do you have jetpacks that don't suck?
No, they don't, because those are never going to happen. I'm sorry. It's just not happening. Although Steve Rogers was given a jetpack recently in Captain America #1, and he was thinking to himself as he was given it by Reed Richards that he really hopes he's able to keep it. So hopefully he was able to keep it. Good job, Jim Straczynski. Good job. All right.
Still on your mind.
Still on my mind, because it was a damn good issue. Toy Fair. That happened at the Jacob Javits Center like about a half a week ago as we record this. It was at the beginning of October. So what was it? The end of September?
It's September 30th, October 1st through the 3rd.
Thank you very much.
Yes, there we go.
I always forget it starts on Saturday because in my brain, like every convention is supposed to start on either Friday or Thursday. But
so yeah, that's the first thing we could probably talk about is that one, this was an actual like corporate work event for grown-ups to do grown-up things, as opposed to New York Comic Con, which is for the nerds who are overgrown children, or as the toy industry calls them, kidults.
I don't like that term. And I want it to go away. Kidults. Come on.
Kidults. It's a big space for growth in the toy industry right now. They've realized that people like us who are grown-ups with jobs and no kids have a lot of disposable income and a nostalgia, young at heart. I don't know. There's a bazillion things you could say like about our psychology or whatever.
Well, and we're all, because of that, we're the ones who, go to Target and buy new Marvel figures or G.I. Joe figures or Transformers figures because, like you said, disposable income. We could do what we want.
Well, I mean, I could analyze it because there's a lot of things going on there. Like one being that you and I were both born in the 80s, and the 80s were probably like the explosion of TV as advertising, shows like He-Man, which were there to just sell toys.
Yep.
And so I mean, I could argue, and maybe some people will disagree with me, that was like the start of like being wired. Like we were wired to want to buy things.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's not that merchandise didn't exist before then, but like the 80s is like, it was like a freaking plague. Yeah, I'm trying to be good. This is about toys. I don't want to curse.
No, I get it, but also at the same time, there's a reason why they had to put certain regulations in place for advertising to stop advertising for the show that you're literally watching to be taking place while you're watching it. Because like that's they were a vehicle for toys. That's what animated series were in the 80s. G.I. Joe existed because G.I. Joe toys existed, and shows have been canceled over the years because they didn't sell enough toys. So that's, go figure.
Young Justice.
I know. And then it came back, and then it went away. Then it came back, and then it went away.
I mean, what hasn't come back at this point?
That is very true. Futurama.
Pirates of Dark Water. Well, no, I'm saying things that actually haven't come back.
Oh, okay, because I was gonna say, if Pirates of Dark Water came back for its last 2 episodes, like that would be amazing.
It would be. There's a lot of shows that I would love to see a proper ending to. I mean, hell, can I have another season of Gem and the Holograms?
Oh my God!
Why do people get more? You guys are getting more G.I. Joe and more Transformers. I mean, but finally they have acknowledged that maybe women and girls and femme types actually buy things too. But now that the Barbie made $1 billion, so come on, give me a new gem show.
That would be lovely. That would be absolutely lovely. I don't know if you're ever going to get it, but that would be lovely.
Yeah. But anyway, Toy Fair at the Jacob Javits Center, which is spelled Javits, not Z.
Yes. As this episode will probably be coming out before New York Comic Con, a reminder that that I and Kris, for that matter, will both be at New York Comic Con the next weekend after this is being released. So if you do happen to see me walking the halls, say what's up, and I will say what's up to you. That would be the 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th of October at said Javits, spelled with an S, not a Z.
I feel like one of these days we should do an episode just about Jacob Javits and explain who he is.
Oh my God! Well, then we would be the Bowery Boys. Like that's
we'll do a crossover.
Hey, weirder things have happened. Yeah. But yeah, this is a convention that takes up pretty much the entire main Javits. It didn't spread into Javits North like New York Comic Con has the past couple of years. It was the main first floor all the way down, and the second floor all the way down, including some fun stuff that I'm still like cognitive dissonance over, the fact that we were in what is main events with a stage and there were booths. It was weird.
Yeah, we just kind of strolled right in, like we were walking the aisles, and then suddenly we come to a stage, and there's just that moment of, where are we again?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's like, wow, this is where I watched that Star Trek panel at the one Star Trek convention that Reed ever threw a couple of years ago.
Well, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff they had in there. Like, I think we've seen Venture Brothers. I've seen Drunk History there, if I recall correctly.
I think the American Dad panel that we went to was there too, if I remember correctly.
Maybe, I don't know. I feel like that was in a normal room.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, yeah. And this was my first time ever at Toy Fair. How many Toy Fairs have you been to?
Okay, now I gotta count here. This was my 7th, possibly 8th.
Ooh, okay.
I went to Toy Fair in the 2000s when Pokemon was exhibiting there. So I definitely went in 06. I don't remember if I went in 07. But then I started covering Toy Fair for Engadget in 2016, and I've been to every single one since. There was Toy Fair in 2020, but there was no Toy Fair in 2021 and 2022. And of course, this year's was in September/October instead of February, which is probably the big thing we should just, it's the elephant in the room. We should probably address it right now.
Yes, this is the second to last Toy Fair that will be taking place in New York City. It was announced while we were at Toy Fair that the next Toy Fair will be taking place in March of 2025. They're skipping 2024 entirely. And then after that, the show will be moving from its 100 plus year home of New York City to New Orleans. Damn.
Yeah. So what they said when they moved it to September of this year, they were just like, well, people have been asking us for a fall show for a while. This was before the pandemic. They were asking us. So we thought this would be better. And now they're like, oh, people are telling us that early in the year is much better for them, which, I mean, as people who go to a lot of conventions, we can read between the lines. It was that they just lost their slot in February. That's what actually happened.
Yeah. Because of skipping it, someone swooped in and took it, and because of that they lost their slot, plain and simple. And it is incredibly hard for a convention to get a slot at Jacob Javits. Perfect example, we talked about this over the weekend with a couple of different people, that New York Comic Con, when New York Comic Con started, it had a February slot, whether it liked it or not, for a couple of years, because even if it's ass cold in New York City in February, and nobody wants to go to a comic convention in February, that's when they could get it. Eventually they moved to October, and they have a vice grip on that general area since then, but they took what they could get. Jacob Javits is only so big, and New York City is a huge place where everybody wants to exhibit.
I mean, and we only really have the one big convention center. I mean, they've talked about opening up other convention centers within the city, one by like with the airport, Aqueduct, racetrack area, which people have kind of poo-pooed because they're like, well, it's too far away from Manhattan. What if I want to go to like a restaurant with a client or whatever?
Yeah.
Which is why this is funny to be like, oh, we're going to go to New Orleans. And I'm like, okay, so I guess what? You're going to take people to the French Quarter for your restaurant meetings? Having been to New Orleans in January, I will say the weather's nice and it's not crowded. And like I said, you can get king cake in January. So
That is true. That is true. At the same time, though, and I mean, this isn't like a knock on New Orleans or anything like that. It's that I feel like this is also in some ways a sign of the changing times, that New York is not the mecca for media in some ways that it used to be. And I mean, perfect example of that is that, DC Comics is now no longer in New York. That's based out of LA.
But the thing is,
have moved out of New York.
We're talking about something completely different here, because media, like with comics, it's a little different, right? Because New York used to be the center of that, but then DC moved. Yeah, they moved out to LA because that's what Warner Brothers wanted. And most people who work in comics are freelance anyway, so they don't need to be in an office. However, with Toy Fair, the toy industry is very much centered around certain places, and that one of them was New York, because that's where the Toy Association is. Until the early to mid 2000s, the Toy Fair was held at the Toy Association offices. They moved it to the Javits just, because they more space. It was, I think people were doing different showrooms anyway, and like just gathering all at Javits just made it opened up the show to a lot more people. I think that's partly why Pokemon was able to start exhibiting there, is because more people could just buy a booth and exhibit.
Yeah, and then everyone got to see Pikachu butt every single time they walk in, because that hanging Pikachu, half the fun of that hanging Pikachu is that if you're walking the right way, it's just Pikachu butt. That's it. That's all you see is Pikachu butt.
Yeah, if you've ever been to a comic convention, you've been to San Diego, New York, you've seen the giant Pikachu hanging from the thing. We saw it at the convention center. It was kind of closer to the wall, so the butt was more open than anything else.
Yeah, like I'll bring up that the image that I brought up before no, that's fine. I'll bring up the image that I brought up before of the Toy Fair sign, where you can actually see said Pikachu butt pretty clearly from where they had it placed in the actual convention center itself. But yeah, I think that one of the I think that this will affect New York more than I think even Toy Fair is going to recognize.
New York or Toy Fair? Because my thing is, we talked to a lot of people, and people were asking me, like, are you going to go to Toy Fair in New Orleans? And I said, probably not, because the thing is, where like working at a gadget, part of the reason I could attend Toy Fair is because it didn't cost them anything.
That's true.
It cost them like my subway fare, maybe a cab ride or two. But this, I would have to fly to New Orleans. I would have to book a hotel. And a big problem with this time slot that they've picked now to have it in January is that it'll be like only a week or two after CES.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, it's a few weeks before Mobile World Congress. So Mobile World Congress is kind of funky right now, because that's also feeling that like after effect of the pandemic and having to reschedule stuff. Things like Samsung, like in the tech industry, it's just not a great time because CES is so big, it sucks up a lot of financial resources.
Well, I think it's just gonna reorganize the show a little bit. Like what you're saying is true, that like, yeah, like it will affect Toy Fair. I'm thinking that it'll affect New York, just, I mean, revenue wise more than anything else, frankly. But as they lose another big source of income, the Javits does, at least with a big ass show like this. Obviously they're paying the Javits to exhibit there, but for all we know, something's going to swoop in and take
I've been wondering about the Javits a lot, because so they're going to lose Toy Fair. And I know that things like the New York Times travel show no longer happens. And that was even before the pandemic. I'm just wondering how many events no longer exist. Now with COVID, and mind you, like COVID has not gone away. COVID could spike. It's spiking right now. I have a cold, not COVID, thank God. But he got to watch me go all week. People were like, "Oh my God." And I'm like, no handshakes, elbows only. I have a cold.
Yep. Yeah. And at the same time, I think that Toy Fair is just going to become way more. I mean, this isn't a bad thing. It's just it's probably going to become yet again more of an industry show. Like the press is going to matter less in the scheme of it because press that is already based in New York is, like you're saying, not going to fly out to New Orleans nearly as much if it's sandwiched between other things that they already have to cover.
Like even if you get away from tech, like we're not talking about CES anymore, right? Like you look at other news outlets, you got to figure it's just after Christmas. So there might have been some spends there. If you're an influencer, you're paying your own way anyway.
Yeah.
It's right after Christmas. I don't know if you have the money to be flying out and paying for a hotel at Toy Fair.
No, you don't. At the same time, now that I've been to this particular Toy Fair, the one that took place in October, 2 weeks before New York Comic Con, it was empty. There were not a lot of people there. And I mean, I went on Saturday and I went on Monday. Monday was more crowded than Saturday, which is weird for me because, what's Saturday in my brain?
It is, as someone who's been to Toy Fair pretty much every day. Not this year. I went on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I skipped Tuesday. It's usually packed on Saturday. Like everybody wants to get their stuff done. They want to see everything as soon as possible, and then they want to get the hell out of there. So it does start to trickle, get a little bit emptier on Monday and Tuesday. But this was the reverse. Like Saturday was very empty, but that also could be attributed to the weather, because for those who are not in New York, you might have seen the historic flooding that we experienced.
Yep.
Which was still insane. I recently found out I ran into my super, Ian.
Yeah.
Our the boiler room in my building flooded. He showed me videos. It was like, those videos you see of people wading through the subway muck.
Oh no.
So yeah, it was really bad. And like I didn't even notice because I stayed up in my apartment the entire 2 days. I was just like, I'm not going down there. But yeah, no, the room flooded, and I would be like, is that why the heater was on for like 2 seconds? He's like, yeah, I guess they were checking to see if it still worked after being submerged.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, your building was far from the only one to experience problems like that. And historic flooding quite literally the day before everybody was attending it, and setting up for that matter. So
Friday is when they set up. And normally, if this was a normal Toy Fair, like I would have been going to meet with Mattel. I usually meet with Mattel the day before Toy Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's something I should bring up here, is that so for those who are not really, like, again, Toy Fair is an industry show.
Mm-hmm.
It's not open to the general public. It's technically not open to children. The only children who are allowed are kidfluencers. And the thing is, though, is that Mattel doesn't actually exhibit on the floor. They have their own. They usually have their own. I don't know if I want to call it their Erie up in the Crystal Pavilion.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody goes to New York Comic Con, that's when you go up the 2 escalators to that big platform.
Yeah.
But they were not exhibiting at all this year.
Yeah.
Hasbro always exhibits off-site, but I wasn't able to get an appointment. I don't know I still have not heard from them. I don't know what's going on this year.
Something must have been weird with them this year, because it's because I signed up as well, and I was told that I would hear back from them, and that it never happened. So something must have gotten messed up.
Yeah, no, normally I hear back, and I get, because you have to, again, it's off-site and you have to be invited. You cannot even just drop in and or bring guests or anything. It's I don't know if I want to say high security, but they do actually have a lot of security guards. But yeah, no, this was definitely out of the ordinary, not just because of the time of year, but yeah, you didn't have Mattel exhibiting. There's a bunch of companies we didn't see. I can't remember any offhand, any big
Jax wasn't there, right?
Jax Pacific? I don't think I saw. Yeah, I don't remember if we saw Jax Pacific.
I don't think Jax was there, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I think there were people selling Jax stuff. Because
I think that's what it was. You kept seeing. I saw you. You would, like, your eyes would light up if you saw something Mattel or Hasbro, and I'm like, no, they're not here. That's got to be a distributor booth,
right?
Yeah, Spin Master was there, but had a much smaller booth. And normally Spin Master is closed off. You have to make an appointment to go in, but it was wide open this year.
Well, that was something else that we heard from people, is that there was a new decision that booths had to be at least 3/4 open this year. That the days of the entirely closed off booth that you had to make an appointment for to see anything were gone, and in their place was a booth where at least 3/4 was open, and then if you wanted to have stuff, a quarter behind closed doors for like special shit, you could go ahead and do that.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I feel like I understand why they were doing closed booths, because you get a lot of looky-loos. You get people who sign up with press credentials that are kind of dubious, and they're pretty much just there to be nosy and maybe grab stuff.
Right.
Like we would see people snatching stuff, and sometimes I'd be like, no, Ian, don't be bad, don't be a bad person.
Oh yeah, no, because I mean, and that's just it. Like everything's on display, and your brain wants to go, oh, I wonder if I could buy that. And the answer is no, you can't. You could buy it at a store later on, but there's nobody selling their wares to, piecemeal at the show. It's all about wholesalers. It's all about distribution. Just because it's on display doesn't mean that you're going to wind up buying it when you see it. You just have to remember that you saw it, take a picture of it, and then if you want to go home and buy a Walking Dead bat or whatever, then you can go ahead and do so.
Which is one of the things we did see.
Yeah.
No, it's an interesting experience as opposed to something like New York Comic Con, where again everything's on sale. They're really on the vigilant lookout for shoplifters.
Yes.
Toy Fair's a little more loose with that, though. People do steal stuff at Toy Fair. I'm not going to deny that, but. But yeah, like it's really cool because it's like walking through like an FAO Schwartz or a Toys R Us back when they were still like a big thing, where you can just see stuff and you can touch it and you can talk to the people behind it, which Ian seemed to enjoy doing a lot while we were there.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely the case, and the mood of the place was incredibly friendly. Like the atmosphere was welcoming, which clearly it has to be because. Even more so than other shows, you have to be welcoming to people and let them know more about your thing because you want to make a deal with a distributor and get your stuff in, different stores to people who are actually buying there on the show. At the same time, same with press. When you see press, you're going to want them to spread your word to whatever outlet that they may happen to be with, hoping that the toy will then be bought by the regular consumer who might be happening to listening or watching, whatever you happen to be a part of.
Well, it's interesting because like you get a lot of press at comic conventions,
yeah,
but there's also that feeling that a lot of people are there on like spurious credentials. And I'm not going to say there aren't spurious credentials at Toy Fair.
Of course.
I mean, they have the weirdest rules. Like if you are another podcast or anything, just give it a shot. You might even get in because it is both hard and yet incredibly easy, as Ian can attest. And but
I did it entirely on a whim this year, to be entirely honest.
I told him you should because it's really interesting, and again, there's like a good vibe. But the thing is, there's 3 classes of people because there's exhibitors, buyers, and press. And exhibitors are important, but to each other they're always kind of dicks because you can't do anything for them. Buyers, of course, are king. I've never been a buyer. I would love to be a buyer someday. But we were press. And the thing is, what I appreciated is because I can be like, look, I do tech. I can't really do anything for you. And yet people are still super nice. They'll still give you samples. You are more likely to get free stuff when you say, I don't want anything. And then they will insist.
because they're like, no, trust me, you want. Trust me, you want.
I'm like, I don't need more stuff. I don't need more. Oh my God, I have 3 bags now.
and you know what? Funny enough, at the same time, there really weren't that many overly needy exhibitors. Because when you're at a comic convention, there's at least going to be one person there who's like, overselling themselves in order to try to get you to stop and look at their stuff. Like, oh, hey, I see you over there. Come on, stop on by. Here, my comic is about dogs. You like dogs, right? You like dogs? You don't like dogs?
No, I hate dogs.
What about cats?
Didn't I do that once in front of you? Somebody's like, don't you love dogs? Like, no, I hate them and I want them to die. And the person just is like, Ugh.
And that was the moment that I understood that you knew how to break the hearts of men. No.
It might have been a woman, but yeah.
Yeah, but still, you didn't get that overly neediness at all on the floor. There were one or two instances of people being like, oh hey, how are you? And then you walk by.
Well, there was that we walked by this booth that had stuff that was very like pale colored, like stuff for babies.
Oh God.
And I leaned over to Ian and I went, sad beige babies. Sad beige babies. And this woman at a booth must have overheard her. She's like, we don't have sad beige babies here. Everything's colorful. Everything's very colorful.
And then we struck up a conversation with her and we learned more about her wares. That's all part of it. There also really weren't a lot of like celebrities outside of one that I was very happy to have taken a picture of with. That is the Bob Ross booth. When we first got there, David Arquette was set up at the Bob Ross booth, and he was doing Bob Ross instruction demonstrations also. So like it wasn't just like, let's go see this celebrity, who has nothing to do with us. Like he's actually a trained Bob Ross instructor for the program of painting teaching process that they've been doing through Bob Ross, and he was there and taking pictures with people and showing them the whole process. So that was pretty cool. They were also giving out t-shirts.
Yeah, he really should. I said to him, I said, they really should have a new show and you can host it. I mean, I think there's an audience. And I said, since weed is legal now anyway.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, when they do the 24-hour streams on Twitch or what have you, like there's always people watching. Like that's Bob Ross is still Bob Ross. He has that selling power. There's also a Bob Ross for kids that's available that was on display at the booth that I got an image of here, where you can have kids learn how to paint through the Bob Ross kit, which was pretty cool. And it was a nice simple booth setup. Even if they were giving stuff out, like it was just there on the floor downstairs. And by the way, I reiterate, downstairs was just as big as upstairs. In fact, there were probably even more booths downstairs than
there were more people because the larger booths are reserved for the main floor. That's where you will find stuff like Lego, which you toured. I know, Spin Master.
Yep.
I'm blanking. Jazzwares was up there, just those kind of stuff. And then like downstairs, the biggest booth was Funko, which I thought was really odd because it feels like Funko should have graduated to the main floor already.
Yeah. At the same time, though, they were given some really good floor real estate downstairs. So for all we know, that could have also just been their choice because they were able to have like a double booth similar to what Bandai had upstairs. That Funko
Bandai was huge.
Bandai was ginormous, and it had Bandai gaming and Bandai toys, both set up on either side. So
you had an appointment with it was like action figures and collectibles, and you went to the wrong side. And I'm like, why do you even have two sides? This is so confusing.
I know exactly, yeah. And Bandai had some great stuff on display. That the build quality on their toys has gone up a lot over the years. They've gone from being like middle of the pack, I feel like, to top tier on a lot of the production stuff that they do.
I feel like when it comes to Bandai, like I never really felt like Bandai was bad, but I always felt like, first of all, that the US always got like the scraps. Because you would look at like the Japanese Bandai site and you would see so much cool stuff that we never got.
Yeah.
And now they're bringing that stuff over. I mean, that was we took a tour with AJ Velasco, very cool dude. Shout out.
Yep.
And he was telling us they're actually trying to bring a lot more of the collectibles over, the stuff that was Japan exclusive.
Yes.
Like the lottery prizes. Now you don't even need to enter a lottery. You can just buy it.
Yeah. Learning about the lottery system in Japan, by the way, and being so happy that I don't have to do that makes me glad that we could just buy them here, because the way he described it is like, yeah, so, you do a lottery where, you might get a B ticket or you might get a C ticket, but you're not guaranteed to get the ticket that you want every single time. So it could take you triple the amount that it actually costs in real life in order to get one of these toys. In the US, we're just selling them. Like, oh, okay. All right, great. So
well, he said part of it is the fact that it might be considered gambling, and we have to be really careful of that because there are laws about that in the United States.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's nice figure, the one you just posted.
There were some great Godzilla stuff on display. The Ichibancho figures.
Ichibancho.
Yeah, in particular were amazing, and they also had some stuff for the One Piece live action show. They had already had some figures for that. ready for purchase that are going to be available in 2024.
Yeah, it says March 2024.
Yep.
They're very happy with how it's been doing. Just a side note, yeah, I finally watched it and it is amazing, and I almost cried, mostly because I saw the normally I think I said this to you already, but for the audience, we'll say, you might watch something like you watch the Barbie movie and it'll say based on Barbie by Mattel. And you watch a DC movie, it might be like based on Batman by DC Entertainment. This said based on the comic book One Piece. And I just I was like, I started crying. I was just like, oh my God, they're just acknowledging it. And I was so happy.
It's not a graphic novel, Kris. It's a comic book.
Yeah, well, they could have just said based on One Piece. And no, they said the comic book One Piece. And I was like, thank you. Yeah. But yeah, those figures are nice. And yeah, I see you showing off this Tony Stark over here.
Oh my God. No, I know I'm going to mispronounce it. It's SHF Figure Arts, right?
SHF Fig Arts.
Okay, yeah, Fig Arts. Thank you. The farts, SH Farts. That's what it's called. This is a immaculately detailed Iron Man Mark 85 from the Infinity Saga. And multiple heads, multiple arms you can put on, multiple blasters and whatnot. They had a couple of the Spider-Man figures from No Way Home available through Bandai Namco, and those were great. They had some terrific Tekken figures as well. If I can find the images of that here.
Yeah, those are the ones that I love the little signage. They actually have these lucite like displays that say like round 2 fight, and you can put them in front of your figure, so it's kind of like you're seeing the video game. It's
really, really awesome. And yeah, just like overall, I kind of booked them on a whim just because they were Bandai, and I'm I'm an anime fan, and I think that was one of my favorite booth experiences the entire time I was there. So
a lot of it is like they had a lot of good products. He showed us everything in the booth.
Yes, he did.
Also, the thing is, Bandai has a lot more to talk about because they just opened up 2 shops. They opened up a Nanoblock shop over at the American Dream Mall in the Meadowlands over in East Rutherford, New Jersey.
Yep.
And they opened up a Tamashi Nations store for the action figure side of things just off of Times Square.
Yeah.
Which I told them, I said, no, dude, you should be in Flushing. You really should be in Flushing. Flushing is basically turned into Akihabara around here.
Pretty much, yeah. Also, I really want to check out this Vital Hero thing, which is basically just, Tamagotchi or Fitbit with, actually it is. It's basically like a Tamagotchi Fitbit hybrid, only it's superheroes. Like that seems like
you can train up and get a Batman or a Nightwing or Joker or a Harley Quinn.
Yep.
A little cartoon on your wrist.
Yeah, pretty much. And yes, I do agree that if they were to have a Flushing store, that would be very, very beneficial to them, and hopefully they will make that happen sooner than later.
Yeah, I'll say, if you're in New York, like if you're in New York Comic Con, take some time, head out to Flushing, check out the Tesso X store. Mm-hmm. You never need to go to Japan. It's basically like being in freaking Tokyo, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
What about those like artistic as hell Ty posters that were all over the convention center, like the
he means by Ty, he means the Beanie Babies people.
Yes, indeed. Yep. TY Ty.
Yeah, they were like, Beanie Babies are back, and they basically are the first thing you see when you walk into like the main hall, because they were situated near like where the press entrance, where the 35th Street entrance is.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And they had Beanie Baby interpretations of famous pieces of art all over the place on multiple floors for you on display, even if you weren't at their booth. They were there, which is hilarious because I quite literally the day before Toy Fair watched the Beanie Baby movie on Apple Plus. So like it was in my head, and then there they were, and I'm like, you son of a bitch, you really want me to buy Beanie Babies?
It's kind of part of like a comeback vehicle. Like it is a marketing push, whether or not they'll admit it. But like the timing is too much to be a coincidence.
Well, yeah, especially what you were just talking about, how like the 80s and 90s are back, baby. This is all part of that. It's the nostalgia push for people who can actually have disposable money.
Yeah, well, I was pointing out things to Ian, like we'll do a lot of shout outs of toys that we find interesting. Like if you have not seen the reboot of the Care Bears that's being put out by Basic Fun. It's been the past few years. This is not new this year. Mm-hmm. I think they're better than the originals. I know some people are screaming blaspheme, but I like them a lot more. I think they're more expressive. They gave them bigger eyes. The colors are way brighter. My niece has one. She has the I think it's Cheer Bear, the one that's pink.
Okay.
You know? But we would walk by that booth and I was like, Ian, I want to steal one of them. I want to steal one. I mean, that's just it. Like you try to be on your best behavior, but you see so many things. I went up to the Tea Turtle booth and I was like, "Are you guys gonna sell giant plushes?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "Why not?" He goes, "Because they'd be expensive." I said, "People don't care."
Yeah, exactly. People will buy them. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they don't know enough people will buy them, which is why they're not actually producing them. Let's talk about the Lionel booth with the trains.
Yeah, whether you realize it or not, I was going to segue into that because talking about disposable income, Lionel, oh my God, everything's so expensive.
Yes, and they have in commemorative fashion of Disney 100, they have some awesome looking Disney 100 trains, but also recreations of the very first Mickey toy that they put out that basically saved their asses back in the day. As Lionel was pretty close to going under as a business until Walt Disney went to
personally,
because he was just a fan of their trains and was like, make a Mickey figure, make a Mickey, train.
It's a sidecar. You might have seen, the thing is, I mentioned to them, I was like, I've seen that in a museum. You might have seen these in museums.
Yeah,
it's basically a Mickey and a Minnie on a sidecar, and the thing is, it'll fit on one of their tracks, and you can wind it up, and it'll actually go around, and it just does pumps. And the thing is, they recreated it exactly. They didn't like modernize it or anything. You can but it's $200, which is insane. Like I kind of want it, but I don't, not to the tune of $200. But yeah, they recreated it. Like it even has, looking at the photo Ian has up on the video feed here. They even have the seams in the heads and everything.
Yep, and the turnkey. They have both an older version and a newer version with the Disney 100 branding, depending on which one you would prefer.
Yeah, well, I thought it was Disney 100, and then they had a special D23.
That's
variant.
Yeah, you're right.
There are two. They have looking at the picture because there's 4 models like the original, and then they had 2 bonus ones that are for D23. That would be the annual. I think it's annual at this point, the Disney fan convention, which is one of my dream conventions to go to.
I agree. Yeah, sometimes it takes place in Florida, sometimes it takes place in Anaheim. It's all that is on my list. That and Star Wars Celebration, I think, are 2 things that I'd love to go to at some point in my life.
Yeah, I would really dig Celebration. But yeah, the Lionel booth was interesting. I asked them for a catalog to give to my dad, and they didn't have any. And he says the only reason they even print it is because of old people like my dad. The kind of people who will email them a detailed list of every typo in the catalog.
Yeah, which he pointed out. It's like, the person will come to them and be like, I found these 3 errors. And they'll be like, actually, there were 5. So come back when you find the other 2. Like, okay. And then they leave and then they come back with the other 2. And then that's that.
Yeah, no, I grabbed, because my dad's in the trains, so I wanted to get in the catalogs. I gave him the Bachman catalog today. He was just kind of like, I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude. But I also gave him a guide to Flatbush, so
oh, nice.
Yeah, no, they're giving them out at the library because I think so. Local news: the Brooklyn Historical Society merged with the Brooklyn Public Library a few years back. And they just recently reopened the Historical Society. Now it's the Center for Brooklyn History. And I visited there a few weeks ago, and I think they're just trying to get rid of anything that's branded Brooklyn Historical Society, because there was just a stack of stuff. They were like these postcards that are normally like $20, and they were just giving them away.
Oh, wow.
So I got that. I grabbed a bunch of like little freebies, and I think the books they're actually giving them out at the library near me though. So random, not comics thing.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. How about the sunglasses? Like we were handed Bluey sunglasses at one point, and they also had a bunch of wrestling themed sunglasses on display, like Macho Man Randy Savage and Ultimate Warrior and Sting and all that jazz.
Yeah, my favorite was actually they had superhero mask, and one of the sunglasses looked like Robin's domino mask.
Yes, good point.
That was my favorite. Yeah.
That was super awesome. Yeah.
Do you remember the name of the company? It's actually written on the glasses.
Let's see. It is Sun Stashes. Sun dash stashes. So like
So
mustache, only sun stash instead. So check
this
that.
show was brought to you by Sun Stashes.
See, look how cool that the Bluey sunglasses are, people. As that, and anybody watching the video right now, I'm putting them on. Now I'm taking them off because they're fogging up my glasses because it is hot in here. But
Yeah, it was 80 degrees today in New York.
oh boy. Don't worry, give it 2 more days and it'll be back down to 50 because that's the way life works now.
Yay.
Can we talk about how much bubbles were on display? Like everything was bubbles.
Yeah, I mean the thing is there's always bubbles, but maybe I'm just noticing them more because my niece is in the bubbles. But I know we did get those bubbles, the ones that are like really firm.
Yeah.
We both got samples of those. Oh, that's what I forgot to bring over to my parents today.
Bubble tree, blowing bubbles. And they were telling us it's a refillable aluminum bottle with an attached bubble wand. And they told us it's like triple distilled, like the way that people would describe vodka, they were describing the water in this. Like it's like triple purified, and then they add in this. Like okay, great. Does it blow a bubble? That's really all I need.
Blow a bubble, and the bubbles don't pop that easily. Like they'll hit the ground and they'll stay, which is always nice to see.
Yeah, it's part of American Bubble Co. And their website is bubbletreeusa.com to give them the full plug. But yeah, these things look super cool, and I'm glad that they gave us some samples to check out because I can't wait to blow too many bubbles and then be out of bubbles and be sad I'm out of bubbles and then buy more bubbles because that's the way bubbles work.
Yeah, it's something I find interesting. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, or at least that's how they worked at Disney, because we wound up getting from like the 99-cent store the next day after the bubbles ran out, a giant tub of bubbles that we could refill it with over and over again.
Yeah. But one thing I've noticed, this is not even just this year, it's been the past couple of years, that what became big, and it's because of YouTube, are like unboxing videos. So a lot of toys are very much disposable in that way.
Yes.
Like a lot of their experience is like a one-time only thing. Mm-hmm. Like I saw Hatchimals, I think I thought it was called Hatchimals Surprise or whatever. I could go get it, but their new thing, it's basically like these little eggs, and you get a little bottle filled with water and you squirt directly into the egg, and then the egg cracks because the little Hatchimal pops out of it because of the water. Anyway, I'm actually going to find it because I feel bad if like Spin Master's listening to this. Hold on one sec.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, like one of the things that I wish that I had taken a picture of was there was one booth that was displaying toys that were like multi-use, like that you could repurpose them. Oh, look at that! Chris is back. How about them apples? Let's see. What do we got?
Here we go. This is it. It's called Hatchimals Alive. They did give me one, but I'm not going to dig that one out of my pocket now. But yeah, a lot of toys are about the unboxing experience, like the color reveal Barbie things, where you dip them into a thing of water and like the skin coating falls off, and you get to see what they look like on the on the inside.
Well, the thing that I mentioned as you stepped away, I wish I'd gotten the name of the booth, but that one company that was making essentially add-ons you could make onto like plastic bottles and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, you spoke to them. I think we started talking to them because they had Vietnamese coffee, and Ian is very much about his coffee. And
yes,
he was hoping to have some coffee.
And they didn't have coffee, but it was fine.
You definitely have their info, so you can put it in the show notes.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, no, that you're right about sustainability and multi-use. Were definitely two of the items that were 100% on display out of the toys at Toy Fair for that very reason, because
it's like a balance now, because you have the guys who are making things that are meant to be unpacked, and you have all these little bags and bobs and stuff, and then you have sustainability type stuff. Like there was one whole booth where it was just made out of corrugated cardboard.
Yeah,
like it wasn't coated or painted or anything. It was just brown corrugated cardboard. I thought it was a beautiful booth.
Yes, I agree with you on that, for that matter.
Let's be honest, corrugated cardboard, when it's fresh and hasn't been effed up yet, looks great until you F it up.
Super 7 had some fantastic Ninja Turtles toys on display. that were very much in the spirit of old school Ninja Turtles stuff, and then this just completely destroyed me. If I had enough disposable money, I would be getting the Batman the Animated Series Batmobile with the Batman the Animated Series figure to go along with it to display.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I was like, is the Batmobile that big? Oh my god, it probably was.
It was a huge car because they tried to make it sort of like Tim Burton's Batmobile, but also its own thing.
It was more, well, the thing is, it was more because they went for this Art Deco look for the entire show for Gotham City. And so they went for like an Art Deco thing. And when you look at Art Deco designs, like, things like the buildings and the vehicles are always just, they're huge and streamlined and you're just ridiculous. And I love it, but.
I want to point out too that not only was there Thundercats, but there was Silverhawks. And Silverhawks, man. I've been talking. I've mentioned Silverhawks multiple times on multiple podcasts, being like, I swear to God, I'm the only human being that remembers the show, and then I'm reminded that other people do too, because it was basically just Thundercats.
I remember turning on the TV one morning because I wanted to watch Thundercats, and it was Silverhawks, and I was very angry.
I know, yeah.
I was like, what is this crap? It's the same voices, too. I knew that right away. I was like, what is this? I want more Thundercats.
They had Thundercats toys available, and they're really high quality and great build. But yes, Silverhawks toys, too. And they're more expensive because they're going to sell less of them because they're Silverhawks.
Well, they also, if you look at it, they have multiple heads and hands. So they're meant for the collector's market. They're meant for people, if people do take them out of the box at all, to be posed and everything. The fig arts that we were talking about earlier. They didn't have them on display at the show because they're already out, but they have the Spider-Verse figures.
Yes.
Like you get a Miles Morales, you can get a Gwen. I think there's a Spider-Punk. And they're like fully posable and they have the different hands. They're absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, they didn't have them at the show because they're at the new Tamashi Nation store.
Indeed. Yep. Cobra Mothership available for pre-order also at the Super 7 booth. They wanted to remind us of that. But I know Shane has mentioned these G.I. Joe figures in particular and that they weren't quite his bag. But I do appreciate just how much they look like the animated versions of G.I. Joe. Like, you don't really get like straight animated G.I. Joe figures for the most part. Like, you'll get either something that looks super articulated and closer to the comic books, or you'll get like the old school crappy molds.
But like, I'm not trying to insult any toy artist out there, but let's be honest, like sculpting has gotten so much better in our lifetimes. Like, you look at toys from the 70s and the 80s and like the sculpts. I know I was talking shit about the Letitia Wright, the Shuri doll that we saw, because it was the second time I had seen this Black Panther doll, and I was like, it still doesn't look like her to me, even though it's nice. It just doesn't look like her.
The other two in the line actually look really, really accurate. I feel like they just didn't get Letitia Wright's facial.
Yeah, she might be hard to work with. I don't know.
It's possible. I mean, we've heard stories.
Because that came up. Yeah, well, that came up also with the Spider-Man figure that they couldn't get Andrew Garfield's head sculpt.
Yes. Yeah. So they just like, okay, fine. This one's not going to have an Andrew Garfield head. It's just going to be the full costume. It was cool, but that's what they had to work with. But yeah, Baroness looks great. Zartan, my favorite Zartan, on display also. And yeah, just Super 7 just had a badass booth. It also was super crowded in comparison to other booths, probably because of how many cool stuff they had on display. But that's, I guess, to be expected.
Yeah, I mean, they might have just scheduled a lot of meetings, or they might actually have had new stuff to show off. Because I think the biggest deterrent, the biggest thing, the reason some booths just weren't crowded is because they didn't have anything new.
Right.
Spin Master didn't have anything I hadn't already seen at Sweet Sweet and Holiday of Play. Holiday of Play was only a few weeks ago. So, yeah. Yeah,
and for that matter, going along those lines, like you mentioned that I toured Lego. Wasn't really a tour. It was just everything that was already on display outside of their booth. Because, like you said, in previous years, they've actually had like an inside thing where like you had the schedule and you would go inside and you'd see like
Yeah, they didn't have any new announcements because normally if they had new announcements, that would have been on the inside. Like that's where I saw Hidden Side, their
Mhm.
AR toys a few years back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you would see the Mario stuff, but the Mario stuff is all released. There's no, as far as I know, there's no unannounced Mario stuff right now.
Yeah.
Because normally they, if they announce it, it's over the summer. That already came out.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they had all the amazing, Mario stuff on display, which I told the person who was giving me the tour, like, if this stuff had existed when I was a kid, I would have quite literally every single set, because these things are beautiful. And just any Mario nerd wants these full, essential, like, levels of Mario available in Lego. And they've gone all out with these sets. I think that they're really, really cool.
No, in general, I'm kind of happy with the direction that Lego is taking because
Oh yeah.
they're doing a lot of, again, stuff for the kidults.
Mm-hmm.
I try to stay in touch with them because I recommended the botanical collection.
Yes.
Those are the flowers, which at Toy Fair they had a whole wall that was just like the botanicals, like the flowers, like it looked like a garden, but it was all Lego. It was actually quite nice. Ian just put up they have like the Spider-Man Lego like art piece. I don't know what you want to call it, a diorama-ish thing, a 3D art.
Yeah, 3D art is a good way of putting it because it is definitely, a piece of Spider-Man art that has been made 3D that you can put on your wall. They also have Wolverine's claws, and I think they also have a Thanos Infinity Gauntlet that's available, and a Captain America shield.
The shield is there.
Yep.
Oh, you're definitely seeing a lot of that stuff now. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
For adults.
Yep. And you mentioned Funko's booth. What about the stuff that Mondo had?
So yeah, that's the thing. I think, how long ago did they acquire Mondo? That wasn't that long ago. I think this is definitely the first Toy Fair since Funko acquired Mondo. Mondo used to belong to Alamo Drafthouse. That was their merch provider. They do games, posters. Now it's with Funko, which is bad for Alamo because, like I was telling Ian some time back, I went to see a movie, this documentary called Once Upon a Time in Uganda, which is about Wakaliwood, like this dude who makes action movies in basically what is like a slum in Uganda. And in the movie, like in this documentary, you see that they have T-shirts with like his studio logo on it. And his like white friend who like was helping him out was making some of the shirts, and the guy lives here in New York. And I'm just like, how come you guys don't sell the shirts? This is literally the only time in history that I will want to buy one of these shirts, is like while I'm on the way out. And the guy said, he's like, yeah, our merch situation is really like messed up right now because of the sale. Like I get that there's financial issues because Alamo's been suffering, like a lot of movie theaters, live theater, like anything that required an audience has taken a real hit the past few years. So I'm not mad about it, and I think Funko will probably be a good owner.
I think so too. It was 2022 when the purchase was made, June 2022. So you're right; it was after the most recent Toy Fair that the change was made. And from the stuff that they're already putting out, like we were marveling over the animated series figures that Mondo had at the Funko booth. The Wolverine looked great, and the Sabretooth, and they also had a Magneto on display and a Jubilee that looked fantastic.
I just realized that Wolverine figure. Look, you see the little portrait at the bottom?
Oh yes,
comes with a picture of Scott and Jean.
Oh my god, that's fantastic!
That so you picture, yeah.
You can have him caress it lovingly. Oh, I love it. And for that matter, the fact that they have him claws out with the energy, which he has never ever been able to do in any comic book, and yet he did it in the opening for the animated series, and that was also his special move in the X-Men arcade game.
Oh, just roll with it, man.
Oh, I know, but that's it's just it's a cool extra feature that they included that in there since he does that in the opening.
Yeah, there's a lot of like self-awareness that I really appreciate. Oh yeah, so now that since they have Mondo, basically Funko's in the business of selling vinyl records.
Yep. Yeah. Beautiful. So beautiful. The Dune vinyl was fantastic. They're also selling, framed art.
Oh, well, no, with the vinyl, I was going to mention, you didn't even notice it. I'm the one who picked up that they had Severance on vinyl, and it
Yes.
looks like a file folder.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was great. It just adds to their portfolio. It kind of is a really good match for Funko when you think about it.
I mean, they're trying to do more high-end stuff. I think what it comes down to is Funko's trying to not be the Funko Pop company.
I agree.
They don't want to put all of their, eggs in one basket, as the expression goes. So
Oh,
they've been branching out into gaming. And mind you, Mondo also does games. So I could see one of the brands going away, to be honest.
they've
But
also they've also been making purses.
yeah, that's why am I forgetting the name of the company?
Oh,
This is useless. God damn it. I'm
I
gonna
know.
remember after we've not talking about it anymore. I'll look it up real quick.
Well, they made a Happy Meal and they made fries that you can wear, as a.
It's a Loungefly. Loungefly. I didn't even have to look it up. I just remembered.
There you go. Yeah,
They
Loungefly,
own Loungefly. Yeah.
another one of their divisions, which I could easily see them merging that into Mondo at some point, rather than getting rid of it. Perhaps combining the brands a little bit since they're kind of like parallel.
Well,
Uh,
I think Loungefly is its own thing because, like, I would say, and I hate to do this, I hate to do something that's so gendered, but I would say Loungefly is a female-oriented brand,
Fair
and
enough.
Mondo is a male-oriented brand. Which, I mean, let's be honest, we all know this bullshit. I own Mondo Records. I own like their copy of Fight Club.
Yes.
The cover actually looks like an IKEA catalog,
Yeah.
which I love that thing. It looks so good.
Oh yeah.
I want to buy some frames for it. But yeah, but I think that's, the thing is that ever since at least the 80s, the toy industry, and it's still going to be like this, where it's very fractured between the two binary genders.
Oh, absolutely.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think we're seeing less of it because we've seen a lot of signs with, like, they have showed little boys playing with dolls,
Mhm.
but I don't think they're going to go away, anytime soon.
Yeah.
The genderedness.
And they're also, I mean, they're coming out with games as well. They had the Rugrats Hanukkah game that I was absolutely drooling over at the Funko booth. Just the
Yeah,
fact
well,
that
let's be honest. What was the thing that really got you? Come on, man, throw it up there.
the thing that got me the most, and let me find the picture
You
of it.
didn't even notice at first. I was like, "Hey, check out that figure." And you're like, "It's a cool figure," and I'm like, "Look
Here,
closer, Ian."
here it is. Here it is. I found it. This was the show where I discovered that Donald Duck is canonically Jewish, because here is Donald with a dreidel. That's enough for me. That's enough for me. It just officially makes him Jewish in my eyes, and I'm a-okay with that.
Yeah, well, I thought it was funny because anybody who's seen the Wonderful World of Mickey Mouse Duck the Hall special,
Mhm.
wherein you find out why ducks have to fly south, because if they don't fly south, they basically start to disintegrate.
Yeah.
And Donald refuses to go because he wants to celebrate Christmas for once. He wants to be part of the festivities, and he just starts disintegrating. And Ian was like, "I've learned that ducks are Jewish
Yes.
because they have
Yes.
to go to Florida."
Some of the other stuff on display. I mean, cooler than the entire Flash movie was that one Flash cowl that we saw on the floor. Like, better than that entire movie. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it had like glowing lines. It was really cool. I was like, "Yeah, that's way better than that trash fire of a movie," which I finally watched. And I'll say again, I don't understand how Ian or any of you other guys could sit through that entire movie in a theater. I
I
had to pause it every 5 minutes. I was like, I can't do this.
The reason I was able to do it is because I was one of 4 people in the theater, and if I didn't want to pay attention at a specific moment, I didn't, and that's a good way to go about it, I think. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna say it was the worst movie I've ever seen. I've seen much worse, but it's just like I was like grinding my teeth. I probably lost a lot of enamel on my teeth as a
You know what?
result.
You know what's much better than that movie?
Aw,
Stan Lee with Grumpy Cat. That's
yeah.
much better than that movie. And that was one of the many figures on display also. That wasn't the Super 7 booth. That was one of the other booths, I think.
It was the same booth that had the Batman, the animated series figure.
Yep. Yeah, you are correct about
It was
that.
on the opposite side of their booth. I remember these things.
I'll look up who did Stan Lee with Grumpy Cat, and that would probably tell me what they are. But yeah, it was good times. Iron Studios.
Okay, yeah, I do remember that.
Yep, Iron Studios were the guys behind that. I also got to make some really cool putty. Um, And any of you guys can too if you're ever at FAO Schwartz in New York, as they have a machine that basically does it. You grab the putty, white, and then you mix in colors. I chose to do sort of like a red and purple. It's not going to come up very well just because
It looks like indigo on there.
Yeah,
which is fine. I like indigo.
Yeah, this is closer to purple when you actually see it. But they also asked me if I wanted to mix in sparkles, which I did. And what's cool is that it's incredibly malleable. And
I can see your fingers.
Just really, really nice to tactile feel to the whole thing.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. We are still technically in a pandemic. We were touching so many things. Every 5 seconds, I was like, hand sanitizer, hand sanitizer, hand sanitizer.
Luckily, there was hand sanitizer literally everywhere, and it all turned out okay in the end. But Crazy Aaron's thinking putty, crazy creator. That's what this thing was. They also had a thing where they were scooping it out almost like ice cream. This was closer to a sand, I think, if I remember correctly. But it was one of those sands where it's mostly solid and then can wind up less solid after a while. We touched something similar on the floor, which was
I was with you. There was like an ice cream smelling one. I also showed you my favorite was that foam. Was it the wacky foam?
Oh yes. Yep.
And it's you smush it down, you can make it into a ball, and then it starts to expand. And it was the most satisfying thing, when I wasn't worried about getting COVID.
OG slime is the one that had the slime that smelled like different things, because this is the one that smells like ice cream, and then there's also one that smells like laundry.
It's really the laundry was nice. I like the smell of that one. It's really interesting to me that slime is still a thing, because
slime will ever not be a thing.
I mean, it wasn't really a thing when I was a kid. I had no idea. I mean, you could have made it when I was a kid, but it wasn't really a thing. Yeah. What was that little boomerang?
It's a sock.
It looks like a boomerang. You were holding it upside down.
I know. Yeah, no, it's a sock. Because
that's the laundry one, right?
It's the laundry one. And smells like laundry. Yep. Yeah. It smells like Tide, baby. It smells like Tide.
Yeah, one thing I definitely noticed is a lot of these tactile toys, I don't think they're being marketed at the kids anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like you say, it smells like laundry. I don't think a kid gives a crap about something that smells like laundry. But a grown up, we love that. Laundry day is great.
No kid gives a shit about something that smells like laundry. They might like the smell, but it's not specifically being targeted.
No, they would prefer something that smells sweet. I showed Ian. I took you that booth that had those little weird rubbery hamburgers and waffles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was really good. That I actually do have right in front of me. That is Orb Stritchy. And it's basically let me take it out of the case here.
Yep.
These little burgers made out of this tactile sticky stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's so here I have an avocado, and it's actually wiggly instead of stiff. Like she said, it's better than wood. And I'm yeah, it's good for older kids though. This is a piece of fake American cheese that pretty much could just be American cheese.
Well, yes, because it's probably the same general feel of it.
We got an egg. A piece of bacon, piece of ham. Here's the burger. I got tomato.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this feels so good. You guys need to buy these. They're apparently only $6 for the set, and you get these are the pickles. And they said that most of the people who have been buying them are actually more adults. They see them; they're really big on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's again the name of it. I told you it's Orb Stretchy. They have a hamburger, they have chicken and waffles, and they have an English muffin.
Of course they have English muffin. You gotta have English muffins, man.
Yeah, that's where the ham and the bacon came from.
I made turkey burgers out of English muffins earlier tonight, and it was very yummy.
Oh, nice.
It was good time.
Good.
Oh yeah, good stuff. One of the other booths that I visited that I greatly enjoyed had a wealth of stuff, including Pokemon and AEW and Star Wars and professional cosplay equipment as well while we were at it, which I was not expecting to find that at all. They have a Darth Vader on display, which let me show you this Darth Vader here, where not only do you get the costume? But it also comes with some pre-programmed voice things by, with James Earl Jones' voice. And it comes with its own carry-on suitcase. So if you wanted to take it to a convention and then dress up in it, you could put it in the overhead on the plane and then take it off with you and put it on when you get to your location. That is ingenious, and I'm shocked that somebody hasn't done that before.
Well, again, they're definitely trying to cater to different types of play and different ages. Yeah. Do you have a picture of the crustaceans?
The crustaceans?
The menstruation crustaceans.
Oh, yeah. Did
you not take a photo of those?
I think. I did take a picture of the emotional support nuggets.
Yeah. And the it used to be What the Meme, but they changed the name of the company. Do you remember the new name? If you took a booth.
Let's see. Well, what do you meme? Let's see. Relatable.
Relatable, yeah. So the company has a name change, and besides What Do You Meme and a bunch of crappy spinoffs, because I'll be honest, I don't really like What Do You Meme. I don't think it's a very fun game. Yeah. But they had a lot of other cool stuff in their booth. Like they were selling these plushes. Let me see. I could find a photo, but I don't have the right to to send it, put it up on the thing. But they were called menstruation crustaceans.
Oh my God. Let me give you co-host rights, and then you'll be able to. Vault, by the way, Vault was the company that I was thinking of that did the AEW stuff and the high quality cosplay. So just to remind folks that they also did some amazing Spider-Man, Spidey, and his amazing friends toys for kids that were absolutely adorable.
There we go.
Voila.
Menstruation crustacean. They had a lobster, a crab, and a shrimp. They're heating pads that smell like lavender, I guess, because that's supposed to be soothing. Though I would not have objected if they smelled like seafood. I mean, it would have been weird, but maybe it could have smelled like Old Bay or something.
That would be better, but also no. I'm
butter for the lobster.
Okay, but butter I could have went with, yeah. And that's a good point to bring up though. Just because we're talking about the What Do You Meme website, What Do You Meme company is there were plenty of games on display as well, because games and toys are relatives to each other. And obviously, companies that sell one are going to sell the other, or vice versa.
Well, the games are having a moment, and this was even before the pandemic. This past decade or so, like board games have really exploded as a category. I couldn't really tell you why. It might be partly due to YouTube. Like people are playing games on YouTube, and other people see it. Just like it might key into the actual play phenomenon. For D&D.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
But yeah, you can definitely see it. Like you go to Barnes and Noble, and now Barnes and Noble has a toy section, and it's mostly board games. So that kind of stuff. Like board games, have definitely exploded for whatever reason.
Yeah, they had the high quality, sexy Scrabble and Monopoly boards on display as well. Once I get that up here.
I know we're both since we're both in our folders, we're probably looking at like similar photos right now.
Probably, more than likely, yeah. Once I find those, I'll bring them up. Here we go. Boards you could wind up displaying on coffee tables, type of Scrabble, like ones that you're like pointing out to your friends that you're so fancy with your Scrabble board and what have you.
I like them, but I also feel like for me, Monopoly, Scrabble, like those are not games I would play enough to justify buying a set that costs $100, $200, or whatever it costs.
Yeah, I would agree with you. What I will possibly buy at some point in the future is a game that we passed called Nacho Pile. It's a matching game with tortilla chips, and their branding is so on point with the old school Doritos logo that it's just a job well done all around. And I had to point them out at least once on this episode. So thank you, Nacho Pile, for existing. And I hope that everybody goes out there and buys themselves a matching game involving tortillas, which will make you hungry as you play it. And you are right though that like games, especially I feel like games that you could easily play with your family are probably, blowing up more than anything else right now. I wouldn't quite say that people are more insular these days, but ones that like you could just play with a small group are probably going to be just as popular as anything else, as you're able to just have a good time in like 3 or 4 people,
Yeah, it's interesting to me. Like as a kid, I think everything I had was 2-player, but now like there are games that are they're 4, 5, 6 players.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just put up a picture of the signature edition Bananagrams because even Bananagrams is getting all highfalutin on us.
That when I saw that, my brain exploded because I don't know, it's Bananagrams.
Yeah, I love Bananagrams, but I don't know if I need a signature edition of Bananagrams.
I agree entirely. And I don't know how well it's going to sell, quite frankly, because it just feels like a product that was made to capitalize on the fact that collector's editions are a thing and not necessarily that people are clamoring for it. But who knows? I could be entirely wrong. You never know.
Yeah, I'm just going to put up a picture of one of my favorite things that I saw at the show before we move on.
Yeah.
For these little plushes from Cuddle Barn.
Ooh.
They sell these little plush frogs, and they have frogs that look like a bottle of sriracha and a jar of soy sauce, and yes. I need them. They're so cute.
They are fantastic. Oh, I found the foam, by the way. Foam Alive was
Foam Alive, yes.
Yeah. Foam Alive, we were amazed over just the consistency of the foam and just how pleasant it was in your hand.
I have a theory. The thing is, like, they're talking about kidults. I mean, I think we should talk about this a little bit. Like, oh yeah, no, we have disposable income and we don't have children and we have all this money to spend. But I also think there's an obsession with parents. They want their kids to have screen-free time, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want my kid always looking at a TV, looking at a tablet, a game console, or whatever. But I don't think people have really considered how much adults need screen-free time.
That's true.
Like, we spend, during the pandemic, you're like, you get up, you wake up in the morning, you check your phone, and then you go to your laptop or your desktop. And then when you're done with that, you go and you watch TV. And then you go back to your phone, and then you go to sleep. Like, you spend most of your day just like staring at screens. And I feel like people have really felt like disconnected from the real world, and there's a need for more tactile things, for more sensation.
Definitely.
So like I find, anything I was like, oh, I want to touch this. I think, adults probably have become very touchy in a way, even as we're like, okay, get me the hand sanitizer, like.
No, I feel that. And it's something that it's a balance that I feel like we all need to take in our lives. And it's a reason why stress balls became a thing too, frankly. Like it's just something to take your mind off of things that doesn't involve staring into your flat screen TV all the damn time, or your phone or what have you. It's just a nice relaxing, tempting side thing, and foam is just very, very pleasant.
Yeah, no, I do. I just like, I mean, the thing is, I'm not a parent. If I were a parent, I'd be horrified, but I'm just like, but it's so fun.
I had one other thing that I wanted to bring up before we get close to wrapping up here. And that, of course, is probably my favorite thing that we found on the floor on the first day that I was there, that Saturday. And that, of course, is InstaCake, a celebration cake kit. The way these work is, if you find them in stores, they're usually there with a card, and you open the card, you can mail it to somebody, just like you mail anything else, and then they open up the card, and then inside is quite literally an instant cake that you can put together that all you need is water for and a microwave. And it's a simple process. I did it on the floor while I was there. And
yeah, there we go.
Yeah, thank you. All it took was, adding the right amount of water. They give you a cup. with it as well. You take 4 scoops of the cup that's in there. They have a mixing spoon. You know, they have the thing to put the instant cake into, and then once you whip it up enough, you put it in the microwave for a minute, and it comes out and it's cake. You let it cool. You put the icing on top. You put your sprinkles. Bada bing, bada boom. You got a cake right there. And an absolutely lovely person that was one of the I think 2 people that worked for the company that was set up at this booth that we had a long conversation with from the Canadas. And she was a sweetheart of a person who let us to try their cake and also gave me a delightful sample of some chocolate cake that I will probably wind up making at some point. But yeah, if you have it available near you, InstaCake is the company. Celebration Cake Kit. Check it out and enjoy.
This podcast brought to you by
basically. Yeah, no, just overall, I'm glad I went and I'm glad I experienced it, especially since now if I am going to wind up going one more time, I have to wait 2 years essentially for March of 2025 to go probably for the last time, because after New Orleans, there's talk of it possibly going to Las Vegas. So it's not coming back to New York anytime soon.
Vegas I see a little more welcoming. It's, for starters, it's closer to California. So companies like Mattel, that'll work out for them because they're in El Segundo. So, you know, a little bad for Hasbro, because it's interesting to me because, like, you know, they're moving away like to New Orleans. And the thing is that takes them away from Hasbro, because Hasbro's in Providence, Rhode Island. It's actually near the train station. But yeah, no, it's crazy. I don't know what's going on there. It sounds like chaos.
Yeah, I don't know. Yes, the industry had to do it, frankly, because if they, you know, if they weren't able to be sustainable in New York, then it makes sense. But at the same time, I'm glad I got to experience it as it was. I'm sad it was as empty as it was, but I'm glad that at least from what we heard, a decent amount of buyers were there. For the few people that we talked to on the floor, it did seem like they were making some good deals and stuff like that. So it may not have been good foot traffic, but that doesn't really matter in the end, as long as they're actually getting their wares into multiple places. And I see you found the
foam,
the sand, the foam sand.
Yeah, that was weird. That was some weird shit.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know why my camera kept changing the shade of purple. It's really crazy. Yeah, it is not color changing foam. It's just my camera being stupid.
Hilarious.
The algorithm is like, oh no, the light changed. I need to change the color. Okay, let me turn.
No, that's fair.
No, I'm just going through to see what else we've missed. Licensees has gotten a little crazy. Just a few like last notes before we wrap this up, I would say. The fact that I'm pulling up this picture, we've stopped by the Playmobil booth, and the fact that they have licensees like Naruto now, which I kind of want, because I like it. It comes with like the ramen shop.
Yeah,
I would want it just for the ramen shop. I don't care about the figures because I'm not a Naruto fan, but I do like that they have, you know, the little characters. They had a whole selection of them. Yeah, sorry, I wish I could. No, I accidentally archived it. Oh, that's fine. There we go.
That's perfectly fine, because I found the licensee that we need to specifically talk about.
Oh God.
That Playmobil has. They have a Magnum PI set at Playmobil. Now, like, you know, when you think of Playmobil, I'm sure you probably think of it being for kids. This ain't for kids. This is very much for old men.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, a lot of the sets are too expensive to be kids' toys, right? But yeah, no, like Playmobil had like a $200 Enterprise model, which was cool because you could like take the top off and like you had the Enterprise, the original Enterprise, or rather the Enterprise we all care about, you know, the Kirk and Spock and all that. Yes. Yeah, the Naruto is crazy. Because remember, in recent years they've also had Ghostbusters. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what else I've seen lately. I feel like they had I don't know if it was Avatar or something like that.
Look, you can't beat Magnum PI. Like, that's just
like who's this meant for? I know it's meant for adults, but who? I know. That's a show that aired 40 years ago. Yeah.
And, which is funny because there's a more recent reboot, but this is the one with Tom Selleck.
Yeah, I mean, they could have the reboot should have just had like Tom Selleck come back and like his daughter could have been the Magnum PI of the title of the show.
He was too busy being a blue blood at the time.
I
So
know. I'm glad the show's doing well for him. I know he can be kind of a dick. I'm not, excusing some of his behavior, but
still
I
has
don't
the
know.
still has the best mustache in all of Hollywood. That
Yeah.
much we'll say for sure. And we did see some Bluey games that I'll mention. The Bluey Keepy Uppy game and the Bluey 5-in-1 game, which kind of just looks like a matching game, but it's cute nonetheless. And
There's a
Bluey,
lot of Bluey stuff. I mean, Bluey's the hot license right now. Yeah, now I sound like a industry insider. Because I know a lot of people, like we saw the Bluey sunglasses, whatchamacallit, Leapfrog
Mhm.
has a license they sell, like, or Leapfrog or VTech. I can never keep those straight because the companies basically merged.
Yeah. Plus there were Bluey figures available and Bluey plushes on the floor, but those are also things that are not just available for your kids because adults like Bluey too.
Well, but those, I mean, I think those are kids' toys,
They
though.
are. They are, but I can
Yeah,
imagine.
there's no adult Bluey stuff just yet. I
I know.
mean, I think 20 years from now, you'll start seeing all the expensive, like, Bluey collector statues.
It doesn't matter whether or not these say that they're for kids. You know that there's probably adults that will buy them.
Yeah.
Because they just really want to plush Bluey, and I can understand why because it's Bluey. All right. Any other things you want to bring up, or have we basically ran our course here? You know what? Actually, one more thing, and that's the,
Fresh dolls?
you mentioned the you mentioned the Shuri, so we may as well mention the other dolls in the fresh dolls line. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, so one on trend, quote unquote, are dolls with natural hair.
yes.
That would be like black dolls with froze and locks. And Fresh Dolls has a patent pending process for making mass produced locks.
Hmm.
And they first used it for their Black Panther line.
Yep.
And now they also have these, the fresh, there's like dude dolls.
Hmm.
One of whom is named Ian.
Yes. Yeah. I took a picture with Ian because of course I did because that's me.
I was
Uh,
like, yeah, Ian's
yeah.
got big hair.
Yes. I don't remember ever having that big hair in my life, so it must be a different Ian. But either way, these dolls are actually really fun. I love the hair on some of the female dolls too. And just
Yeah, there's a yellow doll that looks a lot like a Steven Universe character, almost like a
yes,
topaz. She's
yep.
got like gold, like literally gold, like hair.
And
It's just like a giant fro.
and representation matters, like the fact that there are dolls coming out all different, shapes, sizes, and colors now, like that's good for the world, frankly, not even just for kids, like we need more representation, period. And this,
Well, I've joked about that every white person should be given a black doll with natural hair so they can touch that instead of bothering real people.
yes, that is very true.
Like, just get it out. Just get it out on the doll so you don't do it on an airplane or in an elevator or, literally any other place.
Yep.
Just do it to the doll. That's what a doll is for. Just get it out there.
I did have a picture of the Black Panther dolls, which did win an award, even if again the Shuri isn't 100% done.
They're all nice. I like the Okoye in the middle the best. Like, she has her bits of armor, and I thought it was beautiful, even if it doesn't have hair.
I really like the Nakia, to be honest with you. Like I think the costume is beautiful and the accessories are really sweet to go along with it too. I think that's probably my favorite of the Fresh Fierce collection.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me that even though Marvel is the one who usually gets like the licenses for
Mhm.
dolls when it comes to like Marvel, I mean not Marvel, sorry, Mattel gets like Marvel license. Oh no, Hasbro actually.
Hasbro, yeah.
Hasbro usually gets those licenses. Sometimes Marvel gets them, but in this case, these dolls were made by the Fresh Dolls company,
Mhm.
which is like a small, it's one of those like black female owned, startup company, and they had a lot, again, they have some nice dolls, and again, as Ian says, representation matters. You got dolls with froze, with locks, bantu knots, and I mean, I think I would say representation. I knew representation mattered again when your face lit up when you saw Donald was Jewish.
Yes, yes.
You are nearly 40 years old. You were like, oh my God.
I mean, come on, man. Like some things you've just been thinking for years, and then finally you're validated, and then that's that.
Yeah, but it was nice, and we got to meet my I guess my friend Janice. She's a very nice person.
Mhm. Yes, indeed.
She's like, I want to do something with you. So we got to, we went over to the booth and we got to see this stuff. And yeah, I think that's about it. What were you thinking of?
I was just going to say, just for once again for Shane's sake, we did see a really awesome Cobra Commander helmet on display at one of the Halloween booths. So yeah, otherwise that's about it. I mean, it's a really chill experience that if you do get to experience at least once in your life, I'd say make it happen. Obviously, it's not going to happen for everybody because, again, it's an industry type event.
Yeah, you have to be a press buyer or an exhibitor. Obviously, exhibitor is the most expensive. Buyer, if you work at a store or retail, like a comic shop, you can probably get in. Press, you can just sign up. And the thing is, people are just generally happy to get like coverage.
Yeah.
Kids aren't allowed unless they're kidfluencers, and they have to have a main starring role on like your YouTube channel or whatever it is, which is actually great because it means that people don't feel the need to lock up the toys, because if they let kids run amok, it'd just be like chaos. So
yeah. Oh, you know what? One last thing, and that, of course, and this one's for Murd. We got to experience the Elf on the Shelf Santaverse. Not nearly as cool as the Spider-Verse, but still, it exists. The enchanted world of Santa Claus.
Yeah, I refuse to take any of their freebies. I mean, the only thing I took was hand sanitizer because I would hope it's not like fey sanitizer,
I took an Elf on a Shelf keychain. I did do that for myself because
don't let the fairy folk into your house, Ian.
They're going to be watching me. All right, I think that's about it. Overall, had a really fun experience, and
wait. I know the last thing that we need to show the audience.
Okay, let's see.
Wait, I didn't take a video. I should have taken a video, but you know what? It's fine. It's fine. Just for some reason, they were acrobats.
Oh yeah. Damn, yeah, and they were like on a schedule, and like there was a whole crowd and everything. It was really weird.
Yeah.
But that's that, I guess.
Well, that's just it. Is like you'll get a lot of stunt stuff. Like, you'll get a bunch of people in dinosaur costumes marching into the Jurassic Park theme. That's just Toy Fair, baby.
Oh yeah. That's 100% the case. That's just Toy Fair, baby, is kind of like the best way that you can put it.
Yeah, Ian was like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "It's Toy Fair, Jake." Let it go. It's Toy Fair.
Yep. I mean, thanks for the suggestion, Kris. I had a great time, and I think this was a good episode to let people know some of the stuff that we saw and experienced. And if come 2025, if I have the opportunity, I will go one last time, and then I'm not going to New Orleans. So that's that.
And then we'll record another episode.
Indeed. You want to let people know out there where they can find you and all that jazz?
Lampane on the Blue Sky, because not that other site. That's a letter. No, screw that letter.
No, definitely not. But
also, I have a link tree that's at Kris Naudus. And of course I'm krisnaud.us as a website, well, krisnaud.us. Yeah.
And to pimp both Patreons, patreon.com/comicgeekspeak. We thank you so much for your continued support of the show for as little as $1 a month. That is greatly appreciated. And my personal Patreon at patreon.com/comictiming for producing shows and putting out shows and the like. And I will continue to do that whenever possible. And you know what? My ending theme will be the CGS theme because, hey, it's both shows. So we'll go ahead and do that as I give you the end credits for everything. The number to leave a voicemail at Comic Geek Speak is 267-702-6642. You can stop by thecomicforums.vanillacommunity.com if you'd like to check out the forums, or facebook.com/Comic Geek Speak for the Facebook, or the Comic Geek Speak supergroup, also facebook.com/Comic Timing. comictiming@gmail.com, comicgeekspeak@gmail.com. Those are the email addresses. Twitter.com/comicgeekspeak, twitter.com/I_am_sci-fi, and I am sci-fi on Blue Sky as well. Comic Geek Speak can be found on Blue Sky as well, too, now at Comic Geek Speak. We'd like to thank you for all the support and donating over the years. We could not do it without your help. And as always, there's always time for comics as we're uniting the world's mightiest heroes, one listener at a time. I combine both of our catchphrases.
Yeah. I would say, and thank you to everyone who met with us at Toy Fair.
Yes, thank you.